Hi everyone. Hi everyone. Just waiting a couple of minutes, although I think we can start because some people are connected through the link, some others are might watch that in streaming. So actually there's two ways to watch this presentation. So I would suggest then to start while people will join us along the way, or will, as I said, will watch through the link. So good morning, everyone, but also good afternoon to our colleagues in Japan, and also probably good evening to our friends, colleagues in New Zealand. Very nice to have you here. I would like to make a bit of an introduction and then also introduce myself and then present the purpose of this meeting. So this is the beginning, the opening of this event, two-day event that is Youth and Communities for Climate Challenges. Is part of the whole range of quite numerous initiatives called All for Climate. And it's a series of meetings to prepare the pre-COP in Milan, which is going to happen in a couple of days, and then towards also COP26 in Glasgow in November. It is an event supported by the Italian Ministry of Ecological Transition and also a number of partners, Connect for Climate from the World Bank and the region of Lombardy and municipality of Milan. And in particular, this our work, our project in a way is within Youth for Climate, Driving Ambition, which is, let's say, an initiative, a project aiming to ask students and young people to work with and to present concrete proposals to tackle climate change. In particular, our work, Youth and Communities for Climate Challenges, is coordinated by ILAUD, the International Laboratory of Architecture and Urban Design. So that's the reason why you have all the links actually of this event through the website of ILAUD. And the main aim was to bring together universities from across the world and show how students have worked with communities, are working with communities in their daily practice in a way, in their respective countries, with all the challenges that each regional context have and so on, or opportunities in a way, and share this material together. I will be chairing this first meeting, and for those who don't know me, my name is Giulio Verdini, and besides being a reader at the University of Westminster reader in urban planning, I'm also the vice president of ILAUD. So I'm really happy to be here with you today. And the programs of the 3-day briefly is the following. Today, this morning, we'll showcase the projects done from Japan, New Zealand, and the UK. And this session should last 45 minutes, maximum 1 hour. Similarly, then in the afternoon at 4 p.m. Milan time, my colleague Pilar Guerrieri, which is today with us, is behind our logo, is with us, will introduce and will share the meeting this afternoon to showcasing projects from Mexico, Germany, and India. I have to say that the number of universities that participated is really great, so we have a really diversity of approaches and cases. And of course, we couldn't showcase all of them. We had to select, ensuring a bit of regional balance, but otherwise it would have been too long probably. And then tomorrow we'll have a plenary meeting where all the partners will be together. Of course, you can imagine all the difficulties also to find the time slot suitable for everyone, given the fact that we are from North America to New Zealand. And tomorrow we will share some sort of insights and learning from this experience, possibly drafting an agenda to move forward. So I think that having said that, we can officially start the meeting today, and I would like to introduce our guests. We have, I can see Professor Takashi Ariga. Thanks for being here from Waseda University in Japan with these students. And also, I think other colleagues, as I can see Professor Shigeru Sato as well, and others. Thanks a lot for being here. And I think that the work from Waseda will be introduced by, Mei Komatsu, but anyway, I will, yeah, hi Mei, I can see you now. And yeah, thanks for coming, thanks for being here with us. Then also we have some colleagues. I don't know if Maj-Britt Pedersen Zari could join us from Wellington. She might have joined us, but in any case, we have Ben Nielsen, our brave New Zealander that is very late not so late actually, but at least the dinner time in New Zealand is here with us. Thanks for coming and joining us, and he will introduce the case of Wellington. And then of course I can see some lots of familiar faces, my students from London. I can see Emanuele, Marie, Ilian, Mugel, and I don't know if many and others possibly. Also I can see another colleague from South Africa, Professor Sirai, very welcome as well. Tomorrow we'll have the chance to discuss together again. Anyway, that's the kind of introduction. So if you don't mind, we might want to start. And the idea is to have a short presentation, 2-3 minutes from each school, and then we'll show the video, and then possibly we'll have some discussion. I don't know if someone want to say something already, just to say hi or have some question, please. Otherwise, we can start. If all is okay, yeah. Yes. Now, I would propose, if you don't mind, to allow to start, with the New Zealand case. Would that be okay, Ben? If you are the first one to start with.
Yeah, sure thing. So, yeah, kia ora koutou. I'm Ben from New Zealand, from Wellington School of Architecture at Te Herenga Waka. And our video is a collaboration with our master's students from our Te Atia stream from the Victoria University. And also, so Te Atia is a spatial co-design justice lab that's underpinned by our principles in New Zealand of our Treaty of Waitangi. And we're a project-based, cross-disciplinary, collaborative stream that works with whānau and hapu and iwi across New Zealand, so the Indigenous peoples of New Zealand. And we co-design solutions for communities for spatial problems. And research is undertaken in a few areas of ecology, landscape, and social and cultural political understandings of design and spatial awareness. And yeah, our overall aim for our NUWAO project was to develop a nature-based urban design solution that's rooted in our Indigenous knowledge of Māori in New Zealand, and that supports the climate change and adaptation of communities and their well-beings across Indigenous contexts of Aotearoa and Oceania. And it's a 3-year funded project from New Zealand government from the Masters research funding within the Wellington School of Architecture. So yeah, ngā mihi nui kia koutou from New Zealand, and we hope you enjoy our video, and thank you very much for having us along.
Sorry, thanks Ben. We look forward to see the video now, and I would like to ask Pilar to share the video.
Here we go. Thank you very much, Ben. Here's the video.
Currently in Awakairangi, Lower Hutt. This is in the southernmost part of our North Islands and is part of the Wellington city. And this is a really important place for us in terms of climate change. It's one of the most vulnerable areas to climate change in our country. We're set here against the background of an ambling river that wants to move through the landscape but currently can't. We're right near the ocean as well. And so things like sea level rise, storm surge, are very real issues for us here in Te Awa Kairangi. Kia ora koutou, ko Maybrit Peterson-Zari tōku ingoa. Climate change is already affecting us in numerous ways in this part of the world, particularly a bit further north in the Pacific Island nations. Sea level rise is obviously a really big problem there, and I think that will continue to have a really big impact. We're actually filming on the day that the latest Ipcc report has come out, and it's all over our news because this really, really affects us. And even though, particularly for our Pacifica cousins, they're not responsible for many emissions at all, they're bearing the brunt of those climate change impacts. So climate change is something which is already happening here. We talk about it in the present tense rather than in the future. The research that we're undertaking co-designs with communities urban design strategies that are centred in Indigenous ecological knowledges and nature-based solutions as a means to adapt to climate change impacts. We'll be working in 5 different places, 2 places in Aotearoa, one in our North Island, Te Ika Maui, and one in our South Island, Te Waipounamu. Specifically, we'll be working in Awa Kairangi in the North Island, which is where we are right now. We also will be looking at working with communities in Kiribati, Vanuatu, and Samoa. And we'll be doing this in order to determine how to effectively forefront Indigenous knowledges and solutions that work with nature and urban design so that both urban and ecological well-being are simultaneously increased as a response to the impacts of climate change.
This is where you're researchers?
Yeah, it is. I'm researching the Waikato stream. She's over that way. And it's really interesting. And I think it lends into a lot of conversations about what we talk about in our streams out there. I guess so far I've been looking a little bit at the history, but we'll be going into looking about like artful ways to engage with sea level rise and what that means in New Zealand's Aotearoa context. That kind of similar to you, Zach, in a way.
I think it's about asking people when they live in areas kind of what's most important to them, because I guess in a Aotearoa context, everyone has this connection to the lands and the landscape that they're in, and especially for Indigenous Māori, you know, we see our awa, our rivers, and our whenua as kind of our tupuna, our ancestors. Like they're not just these bodies of water, they're not just the land over there, they're actually connected deeply to us.
When we talk about resiliency, it's really important to focus on an understanding of where vulnerabilities may be and how we could support them in a meaningful, considerate way, in a considerate space. And that essentially means looking at what role Pākehā architects and Māori Indigenous architects can play in that.
Thing about Aotearoa that's particularly unique is its Indigenous population, particularly when it comes to climate change and to the way Mātauranga Māori is applied and understands changes. Mātauranga Māori is quite often thinking about what it's leaving behind for its rangatahi 500 to 1,000 years into the future.
Ko te whānau, ko i haia Puketapu tuku ingoa, noko nei au, no te whangapara me ona takiwa, ko te atia o te iwi. So for those who need a translation, my name's Ihoa Puketapu. I'm from the local iwi in Wellington here. One of Te Atiawa. We're on top of one of our maunga or mountains, in particular this maunga Mātai Moana, which means gaze at the sea. We've seen longer summers, shorter winters. The winters are a lot more wet, more than anything. On the low-lying areas, you know, people's houses, businesses are getting flooded. 15 years, we've been talking amongst our own people about how we're going to, rather than mitigate, but more so adapt to the changes. So this occupation up here is partly about a coastal retreat plan, finding land where we can occupy that's higher up. Well, I suppose the Mātauranga Māori part is listening acutely to the knowledge based from the experience of our much older tupuna who went through their own issues when they were first trying to understand the secrets of this land. We're now having to do that again, but at a much faster pace.
So my research looks at the synergy of Mātauranga Māori and Western science within the educational space, within educating people about the benefits of Mātauranga Māori working with Western science and understanding our natural world and the interconnectedness of our people and our whenua. The Mātauranga Māori aspect acknowledges how the Māori have grown up and lived with these features and understood how these features have worked over a significant period of time. And so both worldviews offer a unique balance between knowledge.
I think why this topic is so important to me is designing spaces that are able to convey someone's identity within them. For Māori, we don't see that in our built environment in general. So how can we better design buildings to kind of showcase our identity and who we are as people? In Mātauranga Māori, there are practices that we have that a lot of whānau rely on. For example, the maramataka that is actually at threat because of climate change. Maramataka is pretty much the Māori lunar calendar. It offers us knowledge on whether or not which season's good to harvest, whether it's going out to Moana in the ocean, or whether or not it's good to start doing all your crops.
The latest report from the Ipcc is extremely sobering reading. I think the language and terminology they're using now is code red, and one of the other sobering terminologies is wartime speed preparation. And when you look at society, we're not really in a red alert mode. Mitigation basically means society gets off its addiction of consumerism crack and sort of tries its best to put itself into rehab, as it were.
We see the effects and we live with the effects, and that drives a certain sense of urgency. We inherently need to hurry up.
Everyone needs to kind of play their part. It's kind of all hands on deck from now.
I think that the world should really listen to our rangatahi, our young people of Aotearoa, and also of our Pacific Island neighbouring nations. We have a lot to offer the rest of the world in terms of how to work towards climate change solutions that incorporate Indigenous knowledge and Western science models.
Brilliant. Thanks for the video. Thanks, Ben, for the introduction. I think that's extremely interesting, and I'm really happy that we could have also the presentation from not just the video uploaded from New Zealand, because it's an angle. It's a focus.
University of Technology in South Africa.
It's a focus. Sorry, that I was saying that on the relationship between knowledge that we have to produce for understanding climate change impact and adaptation and mitigation, and how to adapt that, how to have a dialogue with the indigenous, with communities, and therefore with indigenous knowledge, in order to make that more effective. And coming from that part of the world, thinking about New Zealand, but also all the small islands which might be mostly affected actually by rising sea level and so on, and huge problems that we are actually debating right now at the United Nations, and it's quite important to have this presence. So thanks for the video. I think this will give us lots of food for thoughts. And I don't know if there's some like burning questions about the video, or we want to just move to the Japanese one. We can leave some space for the discussion at the end in any case. So if that's okay, I would move to Tokyo now. I'm not sure whether Takashi, you want to introduce.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you very much, Professor Giulio Bellini, for your chairing this important event. And hello, I'm Takashi Ariga, Professor of Urban and Environmental Design, Waseda University, Tokyo, Japan. The graduate student researchers of my laboratory and I are very pleased to have this opportunity as a part of All for Climate and very important events, Youth for Climate today. And then I would like to thank both Professor Paolo Ceccarelli as well. And also thankful the faculty members and the students from the different continents and the different time zones. Yes, we are gathering now here online. And in Japan, there are two major issues in the field of architecture and urban design, which has been discussed over the decades. The one is the population decrease, and which means also the aging societies is coming. And the second is the disaster risk mitigation, which both related to climate change as well as the earthquake, both. So and the following video presentation will be navigated by Ms. Mei Komatsu, a doctoral candidate of my laboratory, and then the video presentation will focusing on two issues which I mentioned. So I'm going to hand over the role to Ms. Mei Komatsu. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Hello, everyone. I'm a member of the Ariga Laboratory at Waseda University. At first, we would like to thank all people concerned for giving us this wonderful opportunity today. As everyone is aware already, the risk of natural disasters occurring globally is increasing yearly. Our country, Japan, is prone to natural disasters, and we suffer from the damage from earthquakes and floods a few times a year, even in the urban area we live in. Maintaining infrastructure such as ground reinforcement and embankment construction are required. However, it is insufficient to protect people from huge risks. Therefore, we thought of the importance of countermeasures at a local level and are working on climate risk mitigation with local community empowerment, which focuses on our living environment and daily urban architecture environment. Local community empowerment cannot be fulfilled immediately. It can only be achieved by creating a strong cultural and functional bond through the long process of the locals cooperating with each other and raising awareness. In our video, we will present two projects regarding local community empowerment, which are ongoing at our research field, Ojima Rokuchome Housing Complex. The first project is about risk management towards the natural disaster itself. We looked into how the community, including foreigners, are able to prepare themselves for the disasters in Ojima Rokuchome Housing Complex, an area which is easily flooded by hard precipitation. In the second project, functional transition and its design of building stock, we will be introducing the process in transitioning building stocks into life space using agriculture in order to make effective use of building stocks during natural disasters. We hope that you will be able to develop a new perspective through the video that shows Japanese machizukuri, community and town development, which focuses on local participation. Furthermore, we are looking forward to learning accumulation of different perspectives and approaches from everyone. So please enjoy the video. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Rudy, I'm going to play the video.
太平洋増産帯に位置するアジア諸国では頻繁に地震が発生し、またアジア特有の気候特性により水害が多発しています。アジアは極度の人口集中のため、上下水道や避難場所などの防災インフラの整備が十分に追いついておらず、もはや自然災害はプチ災害といっても過言ではない状況です。実際に日本ではここ数年で大雨による被害が全国で増大しています。このような状況に対して地盤改良や堤防建設などの防災インフラの整備・強化が進められていますが、私たちは都市空間での市民活動を組み合わせながら災害に備えていくことが重要であると考えます。実際にどのようにアプローチしていくことができるのか、2つの観点から考えていきます。1つ目は災害そのものに対するリスクマネジメントです。大規模な水害は都市でも起こっています。都市部は多くがアスファルトに覆われているため、内水氾濫が生じやすく、地下鉄やトンネル、道路のアンダーパスに一気に水が溢れてしまうため、特に高齢者などの災害弱者は、避難所に避難しようとしても間に合わない危険があります。また、都市部には様々な国籍の方が居住しており、言語の障壁、防災文化の相違が避難をより困難なものにしています。このようなリスクへの対策として、私たちは垂直避難の仕組みを住民とともに構築する取り組みを行っています。2つ目は建築ストックの機能転換とそのデザインです。東京には実は高架下や工作放棄地、大規模団地のオープンスペースなど未利用の都市建築ストックが数多く存在しています。これらは人の目が届かないため、防災上の危険性が高い一方で、市民活動を取り込み活用することができれば、コミュニティ創出や避難所として利用するなど、大きなポテンシャルを持っています。そこで私たちは脳の持つ食料生産、防災などの多面的機能に着目し、近隣住民や商店とともに脳を用いた建築ストックの活用に取り組んでいます。かつて東京は江戸と呼ばれ、ここでは人が住む町と農地が近接していました。しかし戦後の人口集中によりこの2つは区別され、土地利用の分断が生じてきたと同時に、大都市の農地は宅地の予備地として扱われ、縮小・分散してしまいました。農村部の過疎化や高齢化により、農業そのものの持続性が困難になっている我が国では、都市における居住と生産を一体的に考えることが必要です。個性的な特徴を持つ地域に対してどうアプローチすることができるか、これらのキーワードに着目して、私たちが取り組んでいるプロジェクトについてお話しします。
まずはじめに、災害そのものに対するリスクマネジメントについて、防災プロジェクトを紹介します。このプロジェクトの対象地、大島団地は東京湾に面した地区に位置しています。大島団地は東京の中でも特に多くの外国人が暮らしています。また、この地区は河川が近く、海抜0メートル地帯に位置していることで、水害の観点からも危険にさらされる可能性が非常に高くなっています。さらに、団地周辺には低層で密集した住宅が広がっていますが、団地内には大規模な広場があるため、都市の中の緑地だけでなく、地震や火災が広がった際に避難所としても利用することができます。また、団地自体は高層の建物であることから、水害時には垂直避難も可能です。しかし、団地内での避難を実施するにあたって、2つの重要な問題があります。
まず1つ目の外国人との意思疎通の問題を解決していくために、私たちは隔たりのない防災言語としてピクトグラムを開発しました。日本人と外国人の持つ災害に関するストック情報とフロー情報には大きな差異があります。そこで地震発生時のタイムラインを想定し、各々のシーンで必要となってくる防災情報について考えました。水害に対しても同様に、必要とされる防災情報に対して既存のピクトグラムに
簡単な日本語と英語をつけて、新しいピクトグラムを作成しました。私たちはさまざまな国籍の住民との共同のワークショップを通して、こうした取り組みを行っています。こちらが実際の使用例で、こちらが団地内に設置された時のイメージパースとなります。次に2つ目の周辺住民の団地高層階への避難に関する問題を解決するために、私たちは防災ゲームを作成し、隔たりのない防災拠点づくりを考えました。東日本大震災での被害を受けて、日本では大規模水害時に団地高層階を避難所として利用する協定が締結されました。団地高層階への避難を検討するにあたって、避難想定者数から団地高層階への避難を可能にするための必要な床面積を算定しました。算定された必要面積をもとに防災ゲームを作成し、ワークショップで住民とともに高層階への避難にどのような友達と空間が必要かを検証しました。ワークショップから外国人や団地外の住民は医務室など現在の団地にはない機能を求めていることが分かりました。以上のように外国人との意思疎通の問題と団地高層階への避難の問題の2つの問題を解決していくことを通して、団地が災害時により有用な場所となることを目指しています。
次に建築ストックの機能転換とデザインについてお話しします。人口が過密である江東区大島の大島6丁目団地を対象に、大学と団地の管理主体である日本総合住生活株式会社、居住者との共同で居住と農が共存する都市農業コミュニティを創造するためのプロジェクトを進めています。大島6丁目団地は農空間へ転用可能な建築ストックである。大規模な中庭空間、日射を確保できる屋上空間、開放的なベランダ空間、共同栽培可能なロジニア空間を有し、居住と農が共存する住環境を実現できる可能性があります。一人の力ではこのような既存の建築ストックを農空間へ転換していくことは不可能です。私たちは全員参加型で取り込むことで初めて都市農業コミュニティは作り上げることができると考えています。さて、それではここから現在取り組んでいる全員参加型都市農業コミュニティの創造の実態を見てみましょう。3つの段階に基づいて取り組みを紹介します。
1つ目が建築ストックを活用した都市農業実現のための長期的なビジョン策定です。外国人コミュニティが存在し、広大な敷地を有する団地を農を介した異文化交流の拠点として捉え、野菜を育てる場だけでなく、販売、教育、加工、体験、研究の場の効果的な配置を提案しました。それらをどまたあぜ道でつなぐことで、中庭が集まる空間を中心に、周辺でさまざまな行為が生まれます。また、これらを実現するために、企業、行政、居住者などの多主体が参加する事業モデルを描き、模型を用いて長期的なビジョンを多くの人に発信しました。2つ目は、全員参加型都市農業コミュニティの創造に向けた段階的な実装化です。全員参加型で農を行うためには、まずは団地の人々の農への興味関心を高める必要がありました。そこで私たちが現在取り組んでいるのが、小さなプランターを用いた小さな農園プロジェクトです。プランターを用いて野菜を栽培し、楽しさを知ってもらうことで、徐々に農への親しみを持ってもらうことが狙いです。単に栽培を一緒に行うだけでなく、定期的な SN 発信や収穫した野菜を持ち植えを行う料理イベントなど、楽しく継続できるような仕掛けを織り交ぜながら活動しています。3つ目は、農と居住が共存する新たな居住像に向けた建築ストックの展開です。小さな農園プロジェクトにより、住民がベランダ等で栽培を行い、農が身近なものになった次の段階として、中庭などの共用空間で少しずつ栽培を行っていくことを検討しています。以上のような3つの取り組みを通して、コミュニティの輪を広げていくことで、最終的には平常時に有効活用されていなかった建築ストックが生活の場として生まれ変わることを期待しています。
ご紹介したように、私たちは災害に対応していくために、都市空間での市民活動を組み合わせながら、住民と共同したプロジェクトに取り組んでいます。1、災害そのものに対するリスクマネジメントとしての構想避難と、2、建築ストックの機能転換とデザインという2つの観点は一見異なるもののように見えますが、私たちが直面する自然災害、都市災害に柔軟に対応するためには、この2つの連携が必要不可欠であり、組み合わさることで大きなポテンシャルを発揮することができます。 私たちは大島団地が居住と生産が一体となった新しい都市の生活拠点になり、非常時には防災拠点となる将来像をイメージしています。新型コロナ感染症の影響でワークショップの開催などが困難になっていますが、性的な特徴を持つ地域それぞれに合わせた拠点づくりの方法を構築するため、これからも地域住民との共同による取り組みを進めていきたいと考えています。
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's very fascinating, I would say, view on what's going on at the moment in Tokyo. And I would, clearly pick up the point of the importance of dealing with something that we have experienced also in London, diversities of communities, and how we can be effective in communication and in sort of tapping into this hidden part of the society, which is sometimes mostly affected actually by climate change. And the importance of functional transformation of buildings, conversion. And it's just out, referring to the UK, the impact actually of the carbon impact of demolition and reconstruction, for instance. So the importance of dealing with the existing, adapting the existing, if we want to really envision sustainable future. I think this is an excellent contribution from the Japanese experience, and I would like really to thank you very much for this. We probably leave as we said, the discussion for later. So we now move to the London case. Finally, of course, that's part of the work that we have done in our studio last year, which is called Climate Urbanism Studio, which I lead with my colleague Corinna Dean, and it's about an area in East London, which is sort of relatively deprived and affected by long-lasting problems of pollution, of industrial pollution in a way of the River Lee, an area which, despite the fact is undergoing major urban regeneration transformation processes, there's still quite a number of problems in terms of, again, diversity of communities and the current trends. But I would stop here because I would like to also hear from my students, I mean, to present also the experience that they had and to introduce the video. So over to you guys.
Yes, hi everyone. My name is Emanuele. And first of all, I would say there are already a lot of similarities and controversies with our video project and the one in Japan and New Zealand. So might be good objects for discussion tomorrow in the forum. But yeah, as I said, Emanuele, I'm a student of Design Cities in the University of Westminster in London. And our project is based on a River Lee, wide River Lee. River Lee is the second largest river in London and has been used and I would say overused by industrial activities. They left a huge legacy of pollution. And our title was we use in our title also the new London's new universe, just to stress this kind of shift towards East London in the last 20 years. There's been a shift driven by economic interest of developers in the opportunity area. So we wanted to investigate the implication of this decision. We went there, we approached two different communities hub, exploring how they started to activate conversation with the local communities and the river through different kind of initiatives. From one side, environmental initiatives like cleaning up, restoration of the dock, and from the other side, more socioeconomic initiatives like providing affordable workspace. One of the first outcome, we just realized that before providing any design intervention and solution to tackle the climate change was important for us and essential to raise awareness of this climate change at local level through local participation. So I'm not sure if Mario or my other colleague wants to add something else, otherwise we can see the video.
Marie, Iliana, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I think that was all good. I'm Marie, also from London. Excuse me. And I'm really grateful to be here, actually. It was really nice to see the other two videos. It's nice to see something from parts that are so far away from where we are, actually, because we talk a lot about, England, but also Europe. So it's really nice to just get some videos from other parts of the world.
Okay, great. Thanks. I think then we can also watch this final video, and then we can come to the conclusion of the first part.
Here we go.
This is the River Lee. It is the second largest river in London and the easternmost major tributary of the Thames. For more than 8 centuries, the river has served as an industrial powerhouse, being used to transport goods northbound out of London and supply the city with fresh drinking water. But by the end of the 1860s, boat traffic on the river had almost disappeared completely. Following years of neglect, disrepair, and the bombing during World War II, the river had slipped between the cracks and was simply forgotten, leaving it polluted and inaccessible. Now, with the advancing climate crisis and in light of the COVID-19 pandemic, utilizing the potential of the River Lee has become ever more important. We are excited to produce this video, starting a conversation with local people and shining a light on their hard work, improving social and green spaces along the River Lee.
The Lee was one of the most industrialised rivers, so crap has been pumped into it for years. Clearing it up is a massive undertaking, and I can't imagine that the Lee Valley Regional Park Authority have the resources to do that.
I think some of the biggest challenges are sort of the historic infrastructures along the river. You've got some sort of unregulated outfalls, but you've also got lots of plastic pollution that's coming up and down the river.
And the idea that emerges in 1944 as the Lee Valley as this kind of great regional reservation, you can see was very much industry, but also a landscape that connects the River Thames right out to the edge of London's green belt. So the whole idea of the Lee Valley is something that isn't just industry.
Thanks to multiple factors, London's centre has slowly been shifting eastwards, with Canary Wharf, the Royal Docks and London City Airport surrounding the Lower Lee Valley. The river lays in a major opportunity area, which was recognised in the 2016 London Plan. Local developments include 3 mills, the Olympic Park in Stratford and London City Island. Undergoing so much change, the area has become disconnected from its history and local community.
I think the most memorable sort of loss is really the loss of the sort of intimacy of the area. There's a great feeling that this was something like a secret place. Footpaths, when I first went there, were largely overgrown. I actually had to carry secateurs in my camera bag. The whole area would have been developed anyway. The way that it's been done has not really benefited the people who lived in the area at all.
Through the separation of the river and through the production of these complex watercourses, the marshland foundation, and then the arrival of kind of engineered landscapes with fences around them that make it incredibly hard to move around and incredibly hard to enter, has made the Lee Valley something that is really quite unique and doesn't have a constituency that really cares for it, because people haven't been invited here for a couple of 100 years. So you can see a sort of 2 millennia of political separation that run along the river. The river itself is, of course, a boundary. It's the physical boundary, but it's also a political boundary. It was, for a long time, the edge of London. Even before that, it was the boundary between Danelaw and Saxon England, all the way up the Lee Valley. It's a boundary between boroughs, which means that politically it's in everyone's backyard. You know, a long political history of it being the place where people go to do stuff that people don't want in the middle of their borough, right? For instance, abattoirs or glue factories or inventing gunpowder of different sorts, explosives. So it gets this kind of series of informal, fairly antisocial uses associated with it that have left a legacy of pollution.
While the river's history might cause various challenges, new developments and growing attention raise awareness about the difficulties of the area. This creates opportunities to deal with the deficient connectivity, industrial pollution, and the climate crisis. Several local initiatives, such as Cody Dock and Trinity Buoy Wharf, are actively working in some of those issues, using the opportunities and giving local people the chance to shape the regeneration of the area.
Almost everything we do at Cody Dock is about, raising the profile of the river, getting people more reconnected with it. It was closed for a long time to this part of Newham, and lots of people weren't aware that it was here. The local schools that were possibly even named after it. So bringing them down and getting them to form a relationship with the river is really important. But also now we're starting to go into the river and we're starting to remove some of that historic pollution and also modern pollution that's sort of cluttering a really important habitats along here. So also learning about what's living in it is really sort of a key project.
I think one of the largest challenges for the lower tidal league, which we're based on, is managing its transition from former brownfield sites, previously very industrial, to an area that is going to host over 55,000 new homes, new schools, a new city. And it's a river that people have had their backs turned to for a long time. We're now at the centre of East London's new universe. We're a pivotal player within the strategic plan for opening up the pedestrian access. We're the place that all the local developers come to if they want the feel-good shots. I think the biggest challenge is reminding people that actually communities play a pivotal role, or can play a pivotal role in transforming their area, and to hope that they stay involved as partners. So the hidden elements to the Lee is its fantastic heritage. We provide opportunities not just with habitat restoration and the citizen science, but also the restoration of Cody Dock. So we're turning it back into a working dock. We're building a new visitor centre with a venue and a cafe and a bar and a charity shop. We're building moorings for residential moorings, because there's a squeeze on moorings in East London. It's the studio spaces that I already mentioned, but also establishing Cody Dock as a centre for studying ecology. As people have had more time in their lives and maybe been reprioritising what's important, visitor numbers have gone up so significantly to Cody Dock. That gives us real confidence that this river is very important to the future development of the area.
The pandemic has significantly increased the activity along the River Lee, benefiting Cody Dock and encouraging visitors to reconnect with nature. It has also enabled other initiatives like Trinity Buoy Wharf to promote their position in the area, providing work and social spaces for creators.
Till last June, there was no local population around here whatsoever. The housing schemes that you've seen developed around the Orchard Place, it's all new. Before that, basically, this whole site was industrial site. Ordinarily, a site like this would be considered private, but you could lock it off and make sure people don't come in unless they have to. We took the view that this is part of London and really we should be as much open as possible. The thing about Trinity Buoy Wharf is it's a really, really interesting example of a model of regeneration that isn't normally done. And that model is where we have a long lease. We have a 124-year lease. Our own landlord has a 125-year lease, and we pay them 25% of our rental income. And then they use that for arts activity in the area. Now, that's a kind of internal market. It works really well because arts activity gets funded here. We said that we wouldn't be pressured into doing that. We'd actually take this development and nurture it over the years as a long-term project. For us, it's really, really important that things develop incrementally and without the huge pressures of borrowing enormous amounts of money to build buildings.
There's a few of us that are creatives from the local area. Maybe that's like Newham, some people from Redbridge, some people from Tower Hamlet. And I think having everyone in one space, everyone's able to kind of bounce ideas around off of each other. And like I said, because there's so many different things going on, there's music studios, photographers, fashion companies here. So I feel like there's kind of so many different areas of design. There's always someone maybe to kind of get some feedback from or something else to kind of get involved in.
It is critical that we engage in our local environment and help guide its development towards one that is more sustainable and inclusive. Learning from past mistakes and helping heal the wounds we have inflicted to the natural environment. We have an endless number of possibilities to help with those processes.
One of the simplest ways to make an impact is through taking active part in local activities that help improve the area. It is our duty to show our engagement and optimism
about our urban environment and its future.
Good. Thanks also for the UK video. I think we have now a few minutes to trying to sort of recap, considering that, of course, the main aim is possibly really just to take some notes in reality for them, bringing some ideas for the meeting tomorrow on how, in a way, we would see the kind of sort of challenges ahead and how what we would need to prioritize in a way to be effective. But I think also it's already clear there's quite a lot of similarities, as it was already highlighted, and common challenges, but also differences, because each locality has its own specific problems in a way. And I mean, the case we have just seen is a typical case of a major global city where development pressures is somehow treating the remaining open space within the city, while there is advocacy for, especially during and now that we are sort of getting out of the pandemic, for quality open space within the city in a way, and communities are getting active in claiming for that. So that's quite a powerful energy in a way to capture and to for our project and our visions. So I wonder if you want to make some question or just share some very, very preliminary comments. I know this is just the beginning, and we have another appointment in the afternoon and then tomorrow, but it would be already nice to have a few comments from you and then close the session. Just feel free to switch on the mic and in case ask or make a comment, or use the chat for typing questions. If we are happy with that, I would just ask you to probably to further reflect on what we have seen right now, and take those considerations for tomorrow. And for now, I would like to thank you everyone for attending, and see you possibly this afternoon, 4 p.m. Milan time, and then tomorrow 5 p.m. Milan time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
everybody. And obviously you are all welcome also in the afternoon at 4 o'clock. I mean, who wants to join will find, I mean, may ask the link to us, or otherwise may see the session through our website of ILAUD.org.
And tomorrow we'll have also Paolo Ceccarelli for the closing remarks, so that we'll somehow summarize the event. The video are all uploaded in any case, so are therefore being watched at any time. Thank you, and good evening for all of you that you are on the east part of the world. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.